now.
7 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order. If you could stand and join me for the allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, you have the roll? Okay. Number 2, adoption of the agenda. Are there any other changes other than the additional bills that were emailed out this afternoon?
I don't have any changes.
Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda with the changes as noted to the
Second.
Motion and second to adopt the agenda with changes as noted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. List of consent agenda items. A, minutes of past meetings. B, financial report, summary list of bills, plus the additional bills.
As you can see, my pages were slightly awry, and then I also noticed that I forgot to change the dates at the top of my reports on pages, well, it would be 8
April.
and 7. Still says April. Please know that they are June. As I said to Carrie last week, it was a little bit
Week.
a week. Otherwise, should be fairly straightforward. There are a lot of bills. Some are reconciled to fiscal year '21, some are for July and forward.
I'm assuming you probably still have some coming in yet for
Oh, yeah.
last fiscal year.
I'll have revenue and expenditures for quite some time yet. Probably not as many expenditures, but the revenues will continue to be updated. I'm waiting on a pretty significant one yet from one of our special ed placements. And we can wrap that up, so otherwise, most of them are in.
That's an expenditure.
And I should say significant, but it'll be the last of the year so that I can turn in our high cost claim.
Jackie, the smart boards, how does that get paid for?
So 59,000 or so of it is being paid, at this time I have it allocated to ESSER funds.
Okay.
And then I think it was the remaining between the 71 and 59, about $12,000 is out of specific categoricals. So some for a preschool room and some for a special, two
Okay.
special ed rooms.
Okay.
So Mr. Jans had that question as well. And so as of right now, I took the majority out of ESSER. If we decide we want to do something different, we can always reallocate it another time. And the other ESSER 3 funds, which is around 697, whatever it was. So
Have we utilized all those funds or? how-
this is brand new funding that we have not started, so that's brand new for July 1st and on. And Mr. Jorth has a budget set up for it, and we just have to decide if what we want to do for the learning portion gets approved from the state and what doesn't, so.
Any individual item that's over $5,000 should have to get approval from the state. But if it's a per unit item under $5,000, we have, discretion to purchase on our own. So if you remember our science curriculum, we're planning to utilize ESSER funds, and then math is up next. So curriculum is a big chunk of that. Technology's appropriate as well, and like we used the ESSER 2 funds, some salaries as well, counseling salaries. Again, we've got a good budget there. I can review that with you guys in August if you'd like to kind of see what the plan is for that going forward. Yep. Again, our goal is obviously address the needs that we need because of the pandemic, but also try to lighten our general fund as much as we possibly can, knowing that this is one-time money. And so it's any of the savings that we're going to see of the general fund aren't perpetual. That's why the technology and curriculum are perfect.
Yeah. We have a separate fund for that, or are we just going to show them in the general fund expenses?
It's a line item within the general fund, so it has its own special source code.
Okay, so it's not gonna show up really in the report we get, right?
Correct, right,
Yep.
just in your list of bills, right, yep.
And then essentially, we have to go and ask for reimbursement from the state, so it's, you know, miscellaneous income when it comes back to us.
And that's due in August? The
No,
budget?
he was just gonna review his budget with
Okay.
you. I have to do a quarterly claim for
Okay.
all title dollars and ESSER funds.
Okay.
So last quarter, April, May, June was just due for title claims and our previous ESSER dollars. This will all start new for July, August, September, and so on.
Sure.
Our first round of ESSER dollars were basically given to us, and then all the remaining dollars from there on are spend and reimburse with approval.
ESER 2 is the exact same way.
Any other questions on those items? Not, I'd entertain a motion when you're ready.
Make a motion.
Second. Motion and second to approve the 3 items listed plus the additional list of bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Item 4, recognition, congratulations to staff, students, and community. Mr. George.
Yep, so I put a handout on your tables. As we've talked about already, first maybe want to congratulate the baseball team on their win just here within the last half hour, 5-3 over West Sioux. They'll play tomorrow at Unity Christian against Unity Christian, 7 o'clock. So postseason, win in advance. So best of luck to them. As you can see, the second item there, softball team, I want to congratulate them on their 5-15 season, 3-11 in the Siouxland Conference. They bowed out a week ago to Sioux Center in postseason play. Coach Weiler passed along, we've got 2 all-conference members. Brooklyn Kroll was selected as second team as an outfielder, and then Riley Weiler named honorable mention as catcher. So included some of their statistics on the season. So congratulations to the softball team on their summer. Staff recognition, 2 different groups that both were in charge of summer school programming. So Sue Bugard, Brookston Homa, Melissa Lockey, Cheryl Mans, Tan Meyer, Diane Reck, and Jody Schrick ran our summer school program for the month of June. 72 students, I think, more than that.
Way more than that,
So.
over the month.
Over the month, yep. So K through 6, we added 5th and 6th graders this year, so that we had, anywhere from 10 to 15 kids each day when it came to 5th and 6th graders, in addition to what we'd done previously was just early elementary, K through 4. So I want to thank them. Focus was on literacy and math and then STEM activities, but they went to the, as it says down underneath the community recognition, they went to the library frequently. Kids Club brought Kids Club students up depending upon which session they were involved in. And then we do have a plan for kind of like a Gear Up program in August. So we'll do another 2-week summer school session before the start of the new school year. And so this is a part of our ESSER $3 as well. Any of the summer school staff members that participated, the ESSER funding was used to offset those costs. And then our second group was our ELL group. Sam Cruz, Nikki Cruz, Donna Lumens, and Brad Raveling worked with 18 ELL students. Weren't necessarily a part of the summer school program. They had their own program focusing on language acquisition and literacy lessons, as well as some math and STEM activities. But then they also took a variety of field trips, whether it was to Sioux Falls or Lake Pahoja or here in town. So we want to thank all those staff members for investing in our kids and providing some worthwhile summer school programming.
That one's paid for by a grant. I don't know if it's a-
Yep, so the ELL program is again, its own separate grant-funded program. So just the summer school staff members, that's traditionally been our literacy program, is ESSER dollars. And then, like I said at the bottom there, we want to recognize the library for opening their doors to our students and connecting our families to the library year-round, but especially during the summer. This year, as opposed to the past, we had summer school here in elementary, where in the past we've used the library. This year, we just took kids down there and checked out books and did stuff, but most of the programming was right here in the building. So it's different, but we still want to recognize the library and thank them for opening their doors. And then, like I said, Kids Club got kids here in the morning for their summer school session, partnered with them when we needed to work out transportation back and forth, so. That's all I've got.
Thank you for that. Moving on to item 5, communications, public participation on non-agenda items. Anybody sign up to speak? Don't see anybody raising their hands, so move on to correspondence. Anything else in the round? Nope. Okay, moving on to reports. School business official.
I don't really have anything to report other than to update. Mr. Coop just signed an engagement letter with our auditing firm, so our summer annual audit will begin here in the next month or so. I'll have updates for you as that goes on, as our year closes out.
So that was our 2-year agreement that we approved.
3-year.
3-year agreement that we approved
Yep.
a few years ago.
This is the last year of that one, so requests for bids will go out later in the fall to winter and have those presented to you.
Sure. Okay. Board members have anything? Okay, Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, I wanted to update the board. We've got a mediation date set for August 9th with Western Christian and the other members of the Siouxland Conference for their request to join the conference. It's going to be down in Sioux City, so the Department of Eds will send 2 mediators, and then we'll have representatives from both the Athletic Association and the Girls Union. We'll see where the mediation goes. Mediation can be appealed from their kind of recommendation to the Department of Ed and the director of the Department of Ed. So kind of give you a timeline. So after August 9th, the mediators have 50 days to make their recommendation to both parties. And so that takes us to, I think it's October, end of October, beginning of November. And then a hearing can be had, has to be had within another 45 days of that. And so the director of the Department of Ed has another 60 days. So we're not looking at a quick timeline, a resolution to this. If you remember, Western Christian's request is to join the conference in the 22-23 school year. So really the first couple sports that would be impacted would be volleyball and cross country a year from now, not baseball and softball in the summer, next summer. Again, mediators can provide a recommendation. There's no guarantee that that's what it's going to ultimately be, but like we voted and 8 of the other members of the conference voted earlier this spring, and we're happy with our 10-team membership and the composition the way it's currently exists. And if Western is allowed in, we'll just see where it goes from there. They're really unknown at this point, because if you recall, Unity Christian also made a request. So I think if the mediators and the Department of Ed allows one in, I think it's not too much longer after we're going to have a similar type of request, whether it's Unity or members from the Lakes Conference. So I'll keep you updated after mediation as I continue to learn more about it.
Unity has not made a request for mediation, however.
They have not, no.
To date.
So we'll see what happens after August 9th.
Will all the student conferences be at mediation?
Yep, all 10 committed to being at mediation on the 9th. And so that's why our next board meeting is on the 9th. And if we can find a different date, I don't know exactly how long this is gonna take, but it's not gonna start until 10 in the morning. You know, most likely we'll be done and I'd be able to be back for 7, but you just never know. So wanted to update you on that. I also placed over here on the counter, I talked to board members about the ash trees on Story Street. I'm doing some more research. We indeed do have emerald ash borer in those trees. And so we are going to remove those 6 ash trees and then prune the other ash trees that aren't as significantly impacted. But we need to be making a plan to most likely remove the ash trees over the course of the next few years. The recommendation, whether it was from the DNR, you know, back in 2014 when the city had a similar study done, as you look to replace and replant trees, plant multiple varieties. So don't just plant one type of maple, you know, plant different varieties of maple or even different species is better. And there, in the future, if there's a similar type of disease or pest, you don't have to do the same thing. Because as we look at the number of ash trees we've got around the facility, that's the dominant tree. So August 1 is when we've got scheduled for the pruning and the removal of those trees, so it'll be done before the school year. And then planting will happen later in the fall, so hopefully the weather is a little bit more conducive to replant. And then there are, the immature ash trees are actually adjacent to the practice football fields. There's recommendation for trying to treat those to try to save and prolong them. So we're gonna try that. So.
Are you doing something similar then to the ones on the west side over here?
Yeah, as mature as they are,
Yeah.
I said pruning's probably the best bet that you're gonna have with as mature as they are and the infestation that's already existing over there. But these on the north side is the ones that we can at least try to save and hopefully not have to just totally cut down and replace. So those are my reports and updates.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7, old business, we don't have anything there. Move on to item 8, new business. Item A, consider student and staff handbooks for 2021-2022 school year.
So a lot of the policies that we updated throughout the course of the year, we just went back and realigned the policies and the changes that we made in both the student and staff handbook. And then not a lot of significant, changes to policy itself. It's just updating and aligning to what we approved throughout the course of the year. My recommendation is to approve as submitted, and if you've got questions, follow-ups, don't hesitate to let me know and kind of walk you through it. But principals and Amanda started, and then Amanda basically cleaned it up and posted it to the website. Right now, we got both this year's and last year's, if you want to do any of your own side-by-side comparisons. Questions on those?
It looked really nice. It looked like a lot of work, especially with all the policy changes we've had for the past year, so.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion when we're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the student and staff handbooks for 2021 and 22.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the student and staff handbooks for 2021-2022. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Item B, consider depository institutions / authorized signers.
So again, this is an annual requirement to identify and designate the deposit limits, and then investments, and those that are signers, so.
We use all 3 local banks. We don't really use the Iowa Schools Joint Investment. It is an option, so I continue to have it approved, and then the 3 signers on the account as listed.
Probably not much difference right now for interest rates.
Nope.
Deposit accounts.
No. Back when Mr. Ackerman was still here, if you remember, we did solicit between and try to get some, and they upped it a little bit, but it's really.
Right now, they'd give you nothing and nothing.
Exactly, so we kind of just are happy that they give to us in other ways. Each of the banks is very, very good about donating back to the school when necessary, so. The interest isn't at the top of the list.
If there's not any questions on those, then entertain a motion to approve when you're ready. Second. Motion and second to approve the list of depository institutions and authorized signers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Item C, consider hot lunch free and reduced school meal statement.
So again, similarly, annual requirement in regards to free and reduced lunch meals. As I kind of prefaced last month, all students regardless of income will receive free meals for the next school year. But it's important that families that have qualified in the past continue to authorize their authorization typically comes automatically. But any new families or any changes in employment or income, we want to encourage families to continue to fill out the free and reduced lunch paperwork, because it does help identify funding for our federal title programs and even some of our grant programs. So we need that to be as accurate as we possibly can, even though the free meals are the benefit to everybody this year. So we would encourage people to do that. Leah Lutkus is kind of our point person for that, for answering any of those questions. There's a Spanish version of this available on the website. And we put the Lyon Tracks newsletter out. That'll be linked to all that registration material, so.
Do we get most of the applications during the registration period?
Yeah, most of them are automatic, and most people do the online version through registration, but there's always paper copies that people fill out.
Some are auto renewal or auto approved because of their other circumstances in life, and some do actually apply.
Do you know what percentage we're at?
Last year, we were like 33%. So I would not be surprised if that goes down a little bit, simply because people are getting the benefit of the free meals and just don't follow through with the paperwork process. That's why we want to kind of highlight it. There'll be a special article on that with that Lyon Tracks that goes out next Monday, so.
I feel like we had a little bit of an increase when we switched to the online approval process, so I think that helps. People don't,
Easier process.
yeah, and a little more anonymous and confidential, so I hope that that would help, but as he said, we just don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
If there's no other questions on that, I'll entertain a motion for approval when you're ready.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the hot lunch free and reduced school meal statement. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carried. New business item D, consider partnerships with Northwest Community College as listed.
So that's a bulk of your packet this month, are the partnership agreements, whether it's the concurrent enrollment billing schedule or course offerings. The transitional services are for students that have graduated but continue to receive special education services from Central Lyon. You know, there's special programming through Northwest Community College. And then the memorandum of understanding is the alternative high school. You know, we haven't, in my 2 years, we haven't utilized the alternative school or bussed anybody down there. Nobody's driven down there themselves, but it's always a good option when it comes to our at-risk programming to continue that partnership in the event that we should need it or it would benefit a student or a group of students in the future.
There are no changes in the agreement from last year, you've been, right?
Correct. Just a different president at Northwest Community College, so Aletha Stubbe retired, so John Den Hartog is the new president.
There's no questions on that, I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve those 3 agreements with the NCC.
Second.
We have a motion and seconds to approve the 3 items listed with NCC. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Continuing on in new business, item E, personnel.
Yes, so 2 coaches to fill the positions vacated by Thomas Bigdahl when he resigned earlier. I think it was May when we accepted his resignation. So Travis Shipper is our new middle school social studies teacher for assistant high school football. And then Jeff Kruger is an industrial technology teacher at George Little Rock as assistant middle school wrestling coach. And Dan Cruz and Curtis Eben both interviewed Travis and Jeff, and they are excited about both of those gentlemen joining their programs.
Very good. No questions on those, for discussion, and entertain a motion when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the new hires.
Second. A motion and second to approve the new hires as listed. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Announcements, dates to remember.
Obviously, Saturday's baseball game was postponed to tonight. I want to highlight again that tomorrow night they'll play at Unity Christian, Survive and Advance. I didn't list it on here, but I referenced it earlier. The Lyon Tracks kind of summer newsletter will go out next Monday, and online registration will begin on Monday, the 19th, and will continue until the end of that first week in August. So that's the way most people register, is just do everything online. But new families or anybody that needs to register in person will do that on the 2nd and the 3rd of August. And we want to try to have registration wrapped up, hopefully all the online stuff taken care of by the end of that first week in August. So we can make any changes to any class lists or shuffle any students around and try to balance out any sections and put our finishing touches on the bus routes and such like that after we know we've got the bulk of people registered. So, and then Dead Week is the week of July 25th. So there'll be no activities and no practices for that week. And then Monday, August 9th is the first official day of fall sports practices, new staff orientation, and then, like I noted here, we do have a board meeting scheduled for that night, but I'm curious if there's another date that works for folks in August.
The next night I can see on the calendar is volleyball, scrimmage, and parent night. Otherwise, that week is fairly open in August, according to the school calendar.
So I don't know if people are interested in the 11th, Wednesday the 11th, or maybe just the following Monday, the 16th.
And say, following Monday might be okay too.
We'll be out of town the 16th. Probably won't be available to call in.
Clear on the 12th for the school calendar.
The 12th is clear on the school calendar.
I would be open the 10th, except for school activities, but 12th as well, and the 16th.
Yeah, the 10th will be kind of a conflict for me.
Scott, does the 12th work for you?
Works for me,
Yep, it's fine.
Works better for me, and the 11th doesn't work very well for me either, so.
Okay. 12th at 7 o'clock?
12th at 7.
Okay. Registration are in the corner, and summer's flying by. Coming to a close, Jackie. Okay. That's all we had on the agenda, other than our work session. Entertain a motion to adjourn. You ready? So moved. Second, motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? You're adjourned.
Can you sign those, and I will hand out some bills if that's okay with everyone?
Thanks, Jessica.
I'm actually gonna give you some bills too. while you're at it. Thank you.
Yeah, we can, I think. There's plenty of there. I should have taken a whole box.